Hello everyone, welcome to the What If Anime YouTube channel. Today, we are diving into an exciting new story that will take your imagination to the next level. Let's get started. What if Naruto raised Godzilla from an egg? The ocean churned with unnatural ferocity. Waves crashed against Konoha's eastern shoreline, pummeling the beach with the fury of an angry god. Lightning tore through storm clouds, illuminating the night sky in violent flashes. Most villagers had long since fled inland, seeking shelter from what they assumed was merely an unusually violent storm. But Naruto Uzumaki knew better. The 13-year-old genin stood defiantly at the water's edge, his orange jumpsuit soaked through, blonde hair plastered against his forehead. The nine-tailed fox stirred uneasily within him. Something's coming, Naruto muttered, squinting through the downpour. Something big. A massive wave rose before him, towering 30 feet high. Any rational person would have run. Naruto planted his feet in the sand and formed a hand sign. Shadow Clone Jutsu! Dozens of Narutos appeared, forming a human chain that anchored the original to the shore as he charged headlong into the oncoming wall of water. The waves slammed into him with bone-crushing force. His clones disappeared in rapid-fire pops of smoke as the impact transferred down the line. Naruto held on, driven by an inexplicable compulsion to reach whatever lay beyond. His fingers brushed against something solid. Something smooth and surprisingly warm despite the frigid water. With a final desperate lunge, he wrapped his arms around the object and pulled. As the wave receded, Naruto found himself sprawled on the beach, coughing up seawater. Beside him lay a massive egg, easily the size of his torso. Its iridescent black surface etched with jagged blue patterns that pulsed with an inner light. What the heck are you? Naruto wheezed, placing a hand on the egg's surface. The egg pulsed in response, as if acknowledging his presence. Deep within, something shifted, and far out to sea, beneath the churning waves, ancient eyes opened. You've got to be kidding me, Naruto! You can't keep that. That thing in your apartment. Sakura Haruno stood in the doorway of Naruto's small, cluttered apartment, her green eyes wide with disbelief. Behind her, Sasuke Uchiha leaned against the wall, affecting his usual air of disinterest, though his dark eyes remained fixed on the massive egg that now occupied most of Naruto's living room floor. The egg sat nestled in a makeshift nest of blankets and pillows, surrounded by space heaters Naruto had borrowed from around the village. Its surface glowed more intensely than it had on the beach, the blue pattern shifting and pulsing like a heartbeat. Keep your voice down, Sakura! Naruto hissed, glancing nervously at the egg. You'll upset it. Upset it? Sakura's voice rose an octave. It's an egg. It doesn't have feelings. Yes, it does. Naruto insisted, placing a protective hand on the smooth shell. I can feel it. There's something alive in here. Something special. Sasuke finally pushed away from the wall, approaching the egg with cautious steps. He activated his Sharingan, crimson eyes scanning the mysterious object. There's chakra flowing inside it, he said, unable to hide his surprise. A lot of chakra. Different from anything I've ever seen. See? I told you. Naruto grinned triumphantly. We should report this to Kakashi-sensei, Sakura said, taking a tentative step closer. Or the Hokage. This could be dangerous, Naruto. Naruto's expression hardened, a stubbornness settling over his features that his teammates knew all too well. No, he said firmly. They'll take it away. They'll treat it like a weapon or a science experiment. I won't let that happen. You don't even know what it is, Sasuke pointed out. Doesn't matter. Naruto crossed his arms. It came to me for a reason. I'm going to protect it. Before either of his teammates could respond, a hairline crack appeared on the egg's surface. Then another. And another. It's hatching! Naruto gasped, dropping to his knees beside the egg. The crack spread, blue light spilling from within. The room filled with the sound of splintering shell as pieces began to fall away. A small, clawed hand broke through, then another. A reptilian head pushed through the opening, eyes still sealed shut, nostrils flaring as it took its first breath of air. The creature that emerged was unlike anything they had ever seen. About the size of a large cat, it had charcoal gray scales with hints of blue along its spine. Tiny, arms ended in clawed fingers, while powerful hind legs supported a muscular body. A tail nearly as long as its body whipped back and forth, knocking smaller pieces of eggshell across the floor. Most startling were the rows of bony, maple leaf-shaped plates that ran from the top of its head down its back and tail, glowing with the same blue energy that had marked the egg. The hatchling opened its mouth, revealing rows of sharp teeth, and let out a sound somewhere between a chirp and a roar. Naruto's face split into a wide grin. "Hey there, little guy," he said softly, slowly extending his hand. The creature flinched back, then cautiously stretched forward, nostrils flaring as it scented Naruto's fingers. After a moment's hesitation, it pressed its snout against his palm. A jolt of energy passed between them, so powerful it made Naruto's teeth rattle. Inside him, the nine-tailed fox stirred uneasily. "Be careful, kid," the fox's voice rumbled through his mind. "That thing isn't natural. It doesn't belong in this world." Naruto ignored him, too entranced by the creature now nuzzling his hand like an affectionate puppy. "What are you going to do with it?" Sasuke asked, keeping a careful distance. "What do you mean?" "I'm going to raise him, of course," Naruto declared, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. "Raise it?" Sakura looked faint. "Naruto, that's not a pet." That's Goji," Naruto said suddenly. "What? His name?" "Goji." Naruto scratched under the creature's chin, earning a pleased rumble. "It means thunder in some old language, I think." "Suits him, don't you think?" The newly named Goji chirped in apparent agreement, then promptly waddled over to Naruto's refrigerator, headbutting the door until it swung open. With surprising agility, the hatchling leaped inside and began devouring everything it could find, package wrappings and all. "Hey! That's my food, you know!" Naruto protested, though he made no move to stop the ravenous creature. Sasuke and Sakura exchanged worried glances. "This isn't going to end well," Sakura murmured. Sasuke agreed. They had no idea how right they were. 3 weeks later, Naruto was beginning to understand the magnitude of what he'd taken on. Goji had tripled in size, now standing taller than a large dog, his weight causing the floorboards in Naruto's apartment to creak ominously. His appetite had grown proportionally. Naruto found himself spending nearly all his mission earnings on food, and it was never enough. Fish, meat, vegetables, fruits, furniture. Goji consumed everything with equal enthusiasm. The dorsal plates on his back had grown larger and sharper, their blue glow intensifying whenever he was excited or agitated. Naruto had taken to wrapping them in strips of cloth when they ventured outside, disguising Goji as an exotic summons or an unusual pet. Most concerning was the strange energy that occasionally leaked from Goji's mouth during his increasingly rare periods of sleep. A blue mist that seemed to corrode whatever it touched. Team 7 had just returned from a D-rank mission, and Naruto had rushed off immediately, claiming he needed to check on his pet. Kakashi's visible eye had narrowed in suspicion. "Naruto's hiding something," the Jonin remarked to his remaining students. "What makes you say that, sensei?" Sakura asked, feigning innocence poorly. "Besides the fact that you and Sasuke immediately looked away when I mentioned it." Kakashi's voice carried a hint of amusement. "He's disappeared after every mission, refuses any training that would keep him away from the village overnight, and I've received reports of something large moving across rooftops after dark." He closed his book with a snap. "So what is it? A girl? A secret technique? Or something more troublesome?" Before either Genin could respond, a thunderous crash echoed from the direction of Naruto's apartment, followed by a roar that was definitely not human. "That would be the something more troublesome," Sasuke sighed. They reached Naruto's apartment to find the front wall completely demolished. Furniture lay in splintered ruins across the street. In the middle of the destruction stood Naruto, arms outstretched, facing off against Goji, who had apparently undergone another growth spurt. The creature now stood as tall as Naruto himself, dorsal plates fully extended and glowing brilliant blue, mouth open in a challenging roar. "Goji, calm down! It's not what you think!" Naruto shouted, narrowly dodging a swing of the powerful tail. Goji responded with another roar, this one accompanied by a flicker of blue energy that sparked between his jaws. "What?" Kakashi said very calmly. This is Goji." Naruto laughed nervously, never taking his eyes off the agitated creature. "He's usually better behaved, I swear." You've been keeping a miniature monster in your apartment? Kakashi's tone remained even, but his stance shifted subtly, ready for combat. He's not a monster, Naruto protested. He's just growing. And he got upset because he found my summoning scrolls. I think he's jealous of the toads, Goji snarled, as if confirming this assessment. Naruto, Kakashi said carefully. Where did this creature come from? Before Naruto could answer, Goji's head snapped up, nostrils flaring. He turned toward the east, in the direction of the sea, and let out a keening wail unlike anything they'd heard from him before. What's wrong, buddy? Naruto approached cautiously, previous tension forgotten. He placed a hand on Goji's flank, then gasped. Through the strange connection they'd developed, Naruto felt it. A presence, vast and ancient, stirring far out at sea. Searching. Calling. Goji's parent was coming. Kakashi recognized the look of dawning horror on his student's face. Naruto, what's happening? We need to see the old man. Right now. For once, all of Naruto's bravado had vanished. The village might be in danger. Let me see if I understand this correctly. The third Hokage said, puffing contemplatively on his pipe as he regarded the bizarre assembly in his office. You found an egg during that coastal storm 3 weeks ago. Rather than report it, you decided to keep it in your apartment. It hatched into this creature, which has been growing at an alarming rate, consuming enormous amounts of resources, and is now apparently calling to its parent, which may or may not be a giant monster heading for our village. That about sums it up, yeah. Naruto nodded, scratching the back of his head sheepishly. Goji, now barely fitting in the spacious office, huffed in what sounded suspiciously like amusement. The creature had calmed significantly since his outburst, now sitting docilely beside Naruto, though his tail continued to sweep back and forth, occasionally knocking over small pieces of furniture. I see. The Hokage's expression remained unreadable. And what would you have me do about this situation, Naruto? Naruto blinked, clearly not having expected this question. Not kill him? He ventured. That was not my first inclination, though I'm disturbed that you believed it might be. The Hokage replied. However, we must consider the village's safety. If, as you suggest, a much larger version of this creature is approaching our shores, we must prepare accordingly. Goji is not dangerous, Naruto insisted. Well, not on purpose anyway. He's just powerful and confused sometimes. But he listens to me. As if to demonstrate, Goji leaned his massive head against Naruto's side, nearly knocking the boy over. A rumbling emanated from the creature's throat. The Hokage's expression softened slightly. I can see the bond between you. It reminds me of the connections our shinobi form with their summons. He turned to Kakashi. What is your assessment, Kakashi? The creature possesses remarkable chakra reserves, Kakashi reported. Different from anything I've encountered. It seems to have imprinted on Naruto, possibly due to him being the first thing it saw upon hatching. Or perhaps, he glanced meaningfully at Naruto's stomach, where the nine-tails seal was hidden. The Hokage nodded in understanding. The nine-tails chakra may have formed a bridge of sorts. So what do we do? Naruto asked anxiously. Before the Hokage could respond, an ANBU operative appeared in a swirl of leaves, kneeling before the desk. Lord Hokage, we've detected an anomaly approaching from the Eastern Sea. Massive chakra signature, unlike anything in our records. Current trajectory suggests it will make landfall within 24 hours. The atmosphere in the room turned instantly grave. How massive? Kakashi asked. The ANBU hesitated. Initial readings suggest comparable to a tailed beast. Naruto felt Goji tense beside him. The creature's dorsal plates began to glow brighter, and a soft, keening sound escaped his throat. He can sense it, Naruto said quietly. He's scared. The Hokage stood, his decision made. Kakashi, assemble a response team. I want our strongest water and earth-style users ready to deploy. Evacuation protocols for the coastal regions are now in effect. He turned to Naruto. As for you and your friend, I believe you may be our best chance at averting a catastrophe. Me? Naruto pointed to himself incredulously. You've bonded with this creature. If its parent is coming to retrieve it, perhaps we can facilitate a peaceful exchange rather than a confrontation. The Hokage's eyes crinkled slightly. Besides, I've always found that your particular brand of unpredictability often yields surprising results. Hope bloomed in Naruto's chest. So, I can keep Goji? For now. The Hokage qualified. But he cannot stay in your apartment. I'm assigning you temporary quarters in Training Ground 44, the Forest of Death? Sakura squeaked, speaking up for the first time since they'd entered the office. It's the only area within our borders that can accommodate a creature of his growing proportions, the Hokage explained. And it has the added benefit of being sparsely populated. Naruto nodded solemnly, placing a hand on Goji's neck. We won't let you down, old man, believe it. As they left the Hokage's office, a storm was brewing on the horizon. But whether it heralded destruction or the beginning of an extraordinary partnership, not even the third Hokage could predict. Training Ground 44 lived up to its ominous nickname. Massive trees towered overhead, their ancient branches blocking out most of the sunlight. Monstrous insects skittered through the undergrowth. The distant roars and screeches of the forest's larger denizens echoed through the dense foliage. Naruto stood at the edge of the clearing that would be his and Goji's new home, surveying the hastily erected shelter. A reinforced tent large enough to house the rapidly growing creature, at least for now. This place gives me the creeps, he muttered, scratching absently at one of the numerous insect bites on his arm. Beside him, Goji seemed to be having the time of his life. The creature bounded through the clearing, snapping playfully at the giant butterflies that fluttered just out of reach. His dorsal plates glowed a soft, contented blue, casting eerie shadows among the trees. At least one of us is happy. Naruto sighed. Talking to yourself is the first sign of madness, you know. Naruto whirled around to find Kakashi perched on a nearby branch, orange book in hand. Kakashi-sensei, don't sneak up on me like that. A shinobi should always be aware of his surroundings. Kakashi replied mildly, flipping a page. Especially in a place like this. As if on cue, a centipede the size of Naruto's arm crawled over his foot. Naruto yelped, leaping several feet in the air. Before the insect could scuttle away, Goji pounced, swallowing it in one gulp. See? Useful and protective, Naruto proclaimed, patting Goji's flank proudly. Kakashi smiled, closing his book and jumping down from the branch. I've come to check on your progress, but I can see you're settling in nicely. Yeah, if by nicely you mean not dead yet, Naruto grumbled. I also brought supplies, Kakashi continued, indicating several large scrolls strapped to his back. Food, water, additional equipment. The Hokage has assigned you this mission officially. Creature containment and study A rank. A rank? Naruto's eyes widened. Really? The potential threat level warrants it, Kakashi said, his tone turning serious. Our scouts report that whatever is approaching from the sea continues to advance. It will reach our shores by tomorrow morning. Naruto felt Goji press against his side, sensing his sudden anxiety. He placed a reassuring hand on the creature's head. What's the plan? You and Goji will remain here until we determine the nature of what's coming. If it's hostile, we'll need every advantage, including whatever connection you've formed with our young friend here. Kakashi studied the creature thoughtfully. Have you noticed any new abilities developing? As if in response to the question, Goji opened his mouth and expelled a burst of blue energy that vaporized a nearby tree stump. Naruto and Kakashi stared in shock. That's new, Naruto admitted. Kakashi's visible eye narrowed. Naruto, I need you to be completely honest with me. Can you control him? If things go badly tomorrow, can you guarantee that he'll follow your commands? Naruto started to answer with his usual bravado, then stopped, considering the question seriously. He looked at Goji, who returned his gaze with startling intelligence. I don't control him, Naruto said finally. We're partners. He understands more than you think. If I asked him to help protect the village, he will, because he knows it's important to me. Kakashi nodded, seemingly satisfied with this answer. Very well. I'll return at dawn to escort you to the rendezvous point. He turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Naruto? Try not to destroy too much of the forest before then. The Hokage's been getting complaints from the wildlife. With that cryptic remark, he vanished in a swirl of leaves. Naruto spent the remainder of the day training with Goji, testing the limits of their unusual bond. The creature seemed to instinctively understand basic commands, responding not just to Naruto's words but to his intentions. When Naruto channeled his chakra, Goji's dorsal plates glowed brighter, as if resonating with the energy. Most surprising was what happened when Naruto, experimentally, drew on a tiny fraction of the Nine-Tails chakra. Goji's reaction was immediate and stunning. His entire body suffused with blue light, the air around him shimmering with heat. The blast of energy he released carved a trench 20 feet long through the forest floor. Okay, note to self, no fox chakra around Goji, Naruto muttered, surveying the destruction. The old man would definitely dock my mission pay for this. As night fell, Naruto curled up against Goji's warm flank inside their shelter. The creature's rhythmic breathing was oddly comforting in the otherwise threatening forest. Tomorrow's gonna be a big day, buddy. Naruto yawned, scratching the sweet spot behind Goji's dorsal plates. Whatever's coming, we'll face it together, right? Goji rumbled in agreement, wrapping his tail protectively around Naruto. Just before sleep claimed him, Naruto felt it again. That distant presence, drawing closer. Massive. Ancient. And unmistakably focused on Konoha. On Goji, dawn broke over Konoha with unnatural stillness. No birds sang. No breeze stirred the leaves. Even the insects had fallen silent, as if the entire natural world was holding its breath. Naruto stood at the eastern shoreline with Goji by his side, surrounded by Konoha's defensive forces. The Hokage himself had come, flanked by ANBU guards. All of the Jonin were present, along with select Chunin with useful abilities. Behind them, Genin teams evacuated civilians from coastal areas. Sasuke and Sakura had insisted on staying with Naruto, forming a protective perimeter around Goji, who had grown another foot overnight. The creature was uncharacteristically still, eyes fixed on the horizon, dorsal plates pulsing with blue energy. It's close, Naruto said, not needing to specify what he meant. Everyone could feel it now, an oppressive presence bearing down on them, like the air pressure before a devastating storm. Remember the plan, Kakashi said quietly. We attempt communication first. Combat is absolute last resort. The ocean began to churn, gentle waves giving way to frothing turbulence. A distant disturbance broke the surface, a line of jagged spikes cutting through the water like the fin of a massive shark, trailing a wake of disturbed water. There, someone whispered unnecessarily. The spikes drew closer with frightening speed. 100 yards from shore, they vanished beneath the surface. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the sea exploded. Water shot skyward as something immense breached the surface. First came a head, reptilian, ancient, covered in charcoal gray scales, eyes burning with primal intelligence. Then massive shoulders, powerful limbs, a body the size of a small mountain. Finally, a tail that seemed to stretch endlessly, ending in a brutal whip-like tip. The creature that emerged from the depths dwarfed even the greatest of Konoha's buildings. Its dorsal plates, identical to Goji's but magnified 100-fold, crackled with blue energy that made the air taste of metal and ozone. When it opened its mouth in a roar, the sound physically knocked several shinobi off their feet. That's impossible. Sakura breathed, face pale with shock. Nothing that big could exist, and yet there it stands, Kakashi replied grimly, revealing his Sharingan. Goji let out a keening cry, taking a step forward. The massive creature's head swiveled, ancient eyes focusing on the much smaller form. It took a thunderous step toward shore, water cascading from its enormous bulk. Everyone, hold position, the Hokage commanded, even as several shinobi prepared attack jutsu. Let's see what happens. Naruto's heart hammered in his chest. The connection he shared with Goji was thrumming with an overload of sensations, recognition, fear, excitement. Without conscious thought, he stepped forward with Goji, placing a steadying hand on the creature's neck. It's okay, he murmured. I'm right here. The titanic creature reached the shoreline, water still streaming from its massive form. It lowered its head, bringing it closer to Goji's level, though still towering over them. Hot breath washed over Naruto, smelling of the ocean depths and something else, something ancient and powerful. Naruto looked into an eye larger than he was tall and saw not mindless aggression but calculating intelligence. This wasn't just a monster. This was a thinking being. A king of its kind. Hello? Naruto said, feeling somewhat foolish but pressing on nonetheless. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I've been taking care of your, kid? He's okay, see? Healthy and everything. The massive creature regarded him silently, its gaze unfathomable. Goji stepped forward, plates glowing brightly, and emitted a series of chirps and growls. The larger creature responded with a deeper rumble that vibrated through the ground beneath their feet. They're communicating, Sasuke observed, having joined Naruto despite Kakashi's warning gesture. What do you think they're saying? Naruto whispered. Probably thanks for the babysitting. We'll be going now. Sasuke replied dryly, but something else was happening. The larger creature's dorsal plates began to pulse in a specific rhythm. Goji's plates responded, matching the pattern exactly. Blue energy arced between them, forming a visible connection. Through his bond with Goji, Naruto caught fragments, not words, but impressions. The ocean depths. Ancient memories. A catastrophe. Separation. Searching. Family, and something else. A warning. Naruto gasped as the images flooded his mind. There's something else coming, he shouted to the assembled shinobi. Something bad. What do you mean, Naruto? The Hokage demanded. I don't know exactly. Goji's parent is trying to warn us. There's another creature, a three-headed one. It destroyed their home, forced them to separate. The egg, Goji, was sent away for protection while the parent fought it off. Naruto's brow furrowed in concentration. But it followed. It's still following. The massive creature, Naruto mentally dubbed it, King, for its regal bearing, roared again, this time directed not at them but at the open sea. A challenge. A declaration. It came to collect Goji and warn us. Naruto realized. The real threat is still coming. The Hokage's expression hardened. How much time do we have? Naruto conferred silently with Goji, who was still linked to King. Days, maybe. Not long, then we must prepare, the Hokage declared. If this three-headed creature is powerful enough to drive away something of this magnitude, our standard defenses will not suffice. Wait. Naruto called as King began to turn back toward the sea, Goji following with obvious intent. You're leaving? Both of you? King paused, regarding Naruto once more. Again, impressions flowed through his connection with Goji. Danger. Protection. Duty. They're going to intercept the other creature. Naruto translated, heart sinking. Try to stop it before it reaches land. That's good, isn't it? Sakura asked, joining them cautiously. Let them fight it out in the ocean, away from the village. Naruto shook his head, tears pricking his eyes. Goji thinks, he knows they might not win. Not alone. He looked up at the massive creature, then down at his friend. Let us help. Please, another rumble from King, this one dismissive. Don't give me that. Naruto shouted, surprising even himself with his vehemence. Goji's my friend. We've trained together. We're a team. If you go without me, you're just splitting your strength. King's eyes narrowed, studying Naruto with new intensity. Its massive head lowered further, coming to rest on the beach just feet away from where Naruto stood. Up close, Naruto could see the countless scars that marked its ancient hide, testament to battles fought and survived over what must have been centuries. A low, questioning rumble. Goji responded immediately, pressing against Naruto's side, plates glowing with absolute confidence. That's right, Naruto said, understanding the exchange perfectly. We're bonded. Where he goes, I go. For a long moment, King remained still, considering. Then, with deliberate slowness, it lowered one massive clawed hand to the ground, palm up, an unmistakable invitation. Naruto turned to the Hokage, silently asking permission. The old man sighed heavily. I must be losing my mind in my old age, he muttered. Then, more loudly, Naruto Uzumaki, I am assigning you an S-rank mission. Assist these creatures in repelling the approaching threat. Defend Konoha and the land of fire at all costs. Naruto's face split into a wide grin. You got it, old man. Not alone, you idiot. Sasuke stepped forward. This is clearly a team mission. Team 7 stays together. Sakura affirmed, though her voice trembled slightly. Kakashi I smiled. Well, I can hardly let my cute little genin go off to fight a giant monster without supervision, can I? King rumbled again, this time with what sounded suspiciously like impatience. Right, time to go. Naruto bounded forward, scaling King's massive clawed hand with Goji close behind. Come on, guys! We've got a monster to fight! And so, to the astonishment of the assembled shinobi, Team 7 departed on the most unusual mission in Konoha's history, riding on the hand of a creature out of legend, accompanied by what appeared to be its rapidly growing offspring. As they rose to an impossible height, settling onto King's massive shoulder for the journey, Naruto caught one last glimpse of the Hokage's face. Despite the gravity of the situation, the old man was smiling. The journey across the open sea was unlike anything Team 7 had ever experienced. King moved with surprising grace for a creature of such impossible size, each powerful stroke propelling them forward at a speed that left Naruto breathless. Water sprayed around them, salt mist coating their skin and clothes. They had made camp of sorts on King's broad shoulder, finding relatively stable positions among the massive dorsal plates. At Kakashi's insistence, they had secured themselves with chakra-enhanced ropes in case they needed to sleep during the journey. Sleep, however, seemed impossible. The sheer exhilaration of their position, hundreds of feet above the ocean's surface, riding on a primordial creature straight out of legend, kept Naruto wide awake despite the exhaustion tugging at his limbs. Goji had settled into a comfortable groove between two of King's dorsal plates, occasionally exchanging rumbles and growls with the massive creature and what Naruto had come to recognize as their form of communication. Can you understand what they're saying? Sakura asked, huddled next to Naruto, her arms wrapped tightly around her knees. Naruto shook his head. Not exactly. It's more like feelings. Images. Sometimes I get bits and pieces to Goji, but it's fuzzy. Try to get more information about what we're up against, Kakashi suggested, seemingly unconcerned with their precarious position as he flipped through his ever-present orange book. Anything that might give us an advantage. Naruto nodded and closed his eyes, focusing on the connection he shared with Goji. It had grown stronger over the past weeks, a bond that transcended normal communication. He reached out mentally, brushing against Goji's consciousness. Images flashed through his mind, a vast, barren landscape, lifeless and scorched. 3 serpentine heads attached to a golden-scaled body, wings that blotted out the sun. Destruction on an unimaginable scale. King, wounded but defiant, shielding a glowing egg. Goji, from the 3-headed monster's wrath. Naruto gasped, eyes flying open. It's bad, he said shakily. The thing we're going to fight, they call it Ghidorah. King and Goji's kind have fought it for generations. It destroys worlds. Worlds? Sasuke raised an eyebrow. As in more than one? I think it came from somewhere else. Somewhere beyond our world. Like a fallen star or something. Naruto struggled to put the alien concepts into words. It feeds on planet's energy. Life force. Chakra. Whatever you want to call it. It drains everything until nothing's left, then moves on. Kakashi closed his book, his expression grave. If what you're saying is true, this isn't just about protecting Konoha anymore. This is about protecting our entire world. How are we supposed to fight something like that? Sakura asked, voice small against the vastness of the ocean around them. We're just shinobi. We're Team 7. Naruto corrected firmly. Plus we've got Goji and King on our side. That's gotta count for something, right? As if in response, King let out a rumbling growl that vibrated through his entire massive frame. Goji echoed the sound, his smaller voice harmonizing with his parents' deeper register. Sasuke activated his Sharingan, studying both creatures with new intensity. Their chakra systems are unlike anything I've ever seen, he observed. It's not just that they have large reserves, it's fundamentally different. More primal. Like pure nature energy, but concentrated. That blue energy they channel through their dorsal plates. Kakashi mused. It might be a form of nature transformation we've never encountered before. Naruto's face lit up with sudden inspiration. Maybe we can use that. If I can tap into Goji's energy the way I've been learning to use the Nine-Tails chakra. Absolutely not. Kakashi cut him off. We have no idea what effect that might have on you or Goji. It's too dangerous. But sensei, I said no, Naruto. Kakashi's tone left no room for argument. We'll develop a strategy using our existing abilities. Speaking of which, he turned to address all three genin. We should take this opportunity to train. We may have hours or days before we encounter this Ghidorah, and I intend for us to be as prepared as possible. And so, in perhaps the most unusual training environment imaginable, Team 7 began to practice. Kakashi ran them through chakra control exercises, combat drills, and teamwork formations. Naruto created shadow clones to spar with Sasuke, while Sakura worked on medical techniques Kakashi had begun teaching her after seeing her precise chakra control. Goji watched their training with evident curiosity, occasionally mimicking their movements in what appeared to be his own form of practice. His control over the blue energy was growing. He could now project concentrated bursts with impressive accuracy, vaporizing targets Naruto created from floating debris. As night fell, they settled down to rest, huddled together for warmth against the chill ocean winds. King continued his relentless pace through the dark waters, seemingly tireless. Get some sleep, Kakashi advised. I'll take first watch. Despite his exhaustion, Naruto found sleep elusive. He stared up at the vast starscape overhead, thoughts racing. Goji curled around him protectively, providing welcome warmth. Hey, Goji, he whispered, scratching behind the creature's dorsal plates. We're gonna win this fight, right? We have to, Goji rumbled softly, nuzzling against Naruto's side. Yeah, I know. No matter what happens, we stick together. Naruto closed his eyes, finding comfort in the strange bond they shared. That's our ninja way. He was nearly asleep when he felt it. A distant tremor through King's body, a tension that hadn't been there before. The massive creature's pace increased, powerful muscles working harder, driving them forward with new urgency. Naruto sat up, instantly alert. Something's wrong. Kakashi was already on his feet, scanning the horizon. I feel it too. The night sky ahead of them was wrong. Where stars should have been, there was only darkness, a spreading void that seemed to devour the light itself. Flashes of golden lightning illuminated the edges of this unnatural storm, revealing glimpses of something massive moving within. It's here, Naruto breathed, feeling Goji's terror and rage flowing through their bond. Ghidorah, King let out a deafening roar that shook them to their bones. A challenge, a battle cry, a declaration of war. From within the storm, three distinct screeches replied, alien and chilling. Wake Sasuke and Sakura, Kakashi ordered, pulling up his headband to reveal his Sharingan. The battle begins now. The storm engulfed them with supernatural speed, plunging Team 7 into a maelstrom of howling winds and golden lightning. Rain lashed at them sideways, each droplet stinging like saban needles against exposed skin. The ocean heaved beneath them, massive waves threatening to reach even their lofty perch on King's shoulder. A blinding flash of lightning split the dark clouds, silhouetting a shape that defied comprehension. Three serpentine necks twisted sinuously above a massive body supported by powerful legs. Great wings spread wide enough to cast shadows over entire villages. Golden scales gleamed wetly in the storm's fury. Ghidorah had arrived. King roared a challenge, blue energy crackling along his dorsal plates. The temperature around them rose dramatically as King gathered power for an attack. His massive jaws opened wide, and a concentrated beam of blue plasma erupted forth, cutting through the storm like a blade of pure destruction. The middle head of Ghidorah weaved aside at the last moment, the beam grazing its neck, leaving charred golden scales in its wake. All three heads screeched in unified rage, and answering bolts of golden lightning shot from their mouths. King raised a massive arm to shield his passengers as the lightning struck, the impact sending tremors through his entire frame. Despite his enormous size, King was driven back several steps, water exploding around his legs. This is insane, Sakura whispered, eyes wide with terror and awe. How do we fight something like that? Very carefully, Kakashi replied grimly. Naruto, what can you tell us about Ghidorah's abilities? Anything from your connection with Goji? Naruto closed his eyes, focusing on the bond, sifting through the chaotic emotions and fractured images flooding from Goji. The lightning isn't just an attack, it drains life energy. chakra. And each head thinks independently, but they share one mind. He opened his eyes. And they regenerate. Really fast. Wonderful. Sasuke muttered, hands already forming seals. It's practically immortal. Nothing is immortal, Kakashi stated firmly. Everything has a weakness. We just need to find it. King charged forward, each step sending tsunamis rolling outward. Ghidorah met his advance, golden wings beating against the storm winds, lifting its massive body partially off the ocean's surface. They collided with earth-shattering force, massive limbs grappling, jaws snapping at vulnerable flesh. Team 7 clung desperately to their position as the battle raged. King's movements were too violent, too unpredictable for them to contribute effectively from their perch. We need a different vantage point, Kakashi decided. Naruto, can Goji carry us? Goji, who had grown to the size of a small house over the past day, growled in affirmation. I think that's a yes. Naruto shouted back. Then go! Find us a better position to attack from, Kakashi ordered. Naruto didn't hesitate. He leapt onto Goji's back, securing himself between two dorsal plates. Sasuke and Sakura followed suit, with Kakashi taking the rearmost position. Hang on tight, Naruto warned, leaning close to Goji's head. Let's show him what we've got, buddy. Goji launched himself from King's shoulder just as one of Ghidorah's heads snapped at the spot they'd occupied. With surprising agility for his growing bulk, Goji navigated through the chaotic battlefield, dorsal plates glowing bright blue against the storm's darkness. Below them, the battle between titans raged with apocalyptic fury. King had seized one of Ghidorah's heads in his claws, forcing it underwater, while the other two heads rained lightning attacks upon him. The ocean boiled where their energies met, creating clouds of steam that further obscured the already chaotic scene. There! Kakashi pointed to a small rocky outcropping that somehow remained above the churning waves. Get us to that island, Goji banked sharply, narrowly avoiding a stray bolt of golden lightning. They landed hard on the small island, the impact nearly throwing them from Goji's back. Now we can fight without worrying about falling to our deaths, Kakashi said, surveying the titanic battle from their new position. Sasuke, those lightning attacks, can you redirect them? Sasuke smirked. I can try. Sakura, be ready with medical support. Naruto. Kakashi turned to his most unpredictable student. I need you and Goji to draw attention when we're ready to attack. Can you handle that? Drawing attention is my specialty, sensei. Naruto grinned, forming his signature hand sign. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Dozens of Naruto clones appeared, each quickly forming Rasengan spheres in their palms. Meanwhile, Sasuke had climbed to the highest point of their rocky refuge, his body crackling with the lightning chakra of his Chidori. Now! Kakashi commanded. The Naruto army launched themselves from the island, riding on Goji's back or propelled by his own chakra-enhanced jumps. They swarmed toward Ghidorah like orange-clad hornets, Rasengan spheres blazing in their hands. One of Ghidorah's heads noticed the approaching threat and swiveled to face them. Its mouth opened wide, golden energy gathering between its jaws. Sasuke! Naruto shouted. With perfect timing, Sasuke thrust his lightning-charged hands skyward. Chidori Stream! A massive bolt of lightning shot upward, intercepting Ghidorah's attack and redirecting it harmlessly into the clouds. The momentary distraction was all Naruto's clones needed to close the distance. Rasengan Barrage! The Naruto army cried in unison as they slammed their spiraling chakra spheres into Ghidorah's golden scales. The impact was spectacular. Explosions of chakra bloomed across Ghidorah's massive form, shredding scales and exposing vulnerable flesh beneath. The three-headed monster screeched in pain and fury, all three heads momentarily forgetting King to focus on the new threat. King seized the opportunity, charging his dorsal plates to their maximum brilliance. The blue glow was blinding, casting harsh shadows across the battlefield. When he unleashed his atomic breath this time, it was not a single beam but a sustained wave of destructive energy that swept across Ghidorah's body, leaving smoldering wounds in its wake. It's working! Sakura exclaimed, watching in amazement as Ghidorah reeled from the combined assault. Don't celebrate yet, Kakashi warned. Look, before their eyes, Ghidorah's wounds began to close. Torn flesh knitted itself together with unnatural speed. Burned scales fell away, immediately replaced by new golden armor. Within moments, the damage they'd inflicted was nearly erased. "You've gotta be kidding me." Naruto groaned, dispelling his remaining clones as they were swatted from the sky by Ghidorah's thrashing heads. Goji growled, frustration evident in the sound. His dorsal plates pulsed, and he unleashed his own atomic breath. Smaller than King's but still impressively powerful. The blue beam struck one of Ghidorah's wings, burning a hole through the membrane. Ghidorah's response was immediate and terrifying. All three heads focused on Goji and the shinobi, golden lightning gathering in their jaws. The attack that followed was not directed at them but at the small island beneath their feet, obliterating it in an explosion of rock and seawater. Team 7 and Goji were thrown into the churning ocean, separated by the force of the blast. Naruto surfaced, gasping for air, frantically searching for his friends and his partner. "Goji!" he shouted, voice barely audible over the storm. "Sasuke! Sakura! Kakashi-sensei!" A shadow fell over him. Naruto looked up to see one of Ghidorah's heads descending, jaws opened wide to consume him whole. Time seemed to slow. Naruto felt something stir within him, the nine tails, responding to his mortal peril. Red chakra began to seep through his soaked clothing, forming a protective cloak around his body. "Not today!" Naruto snarled, drawing on the fox's power more deliberately than he ever had before. The chakra cloak solidified, forming a single swishing tail behind him, with strength beyond what his small frame should have been capable of. Naruto leapt straight up, meeting Ghidorah's descending head with a chakra-enhanced punch that sent shockwaves through the water beneath him. The impact should have broken every bone in his arm. Instead, Ghidorah's head snapped backward, golden scales cracking under the unexpected force. Naruto landed on the creature's snout, red chakra bubbling around him. "You want to destroy our world?" Naruto growled, voice deeper and more feral than his own. "You'll have to go through me first." Inside him, the nine tails stirred with unexpected interest. "This creature, it is not of our world." The fox growled in Naruto's mind. "Its power threatens even me. For once, I will lend you my strength willingly, brat." Naruto felt the fox's chakra surge through him, forming a second tail. His features grew more feral, canines lengthening, whisker marks darkening against his skin. The red chakra cloak intensified, steam rising where raindrops struck its surface. With a roar that mirrored Goji's, Naruto formed a Rasengan in his palm, but unlike any he had created before. This one pulsed with the nine tails red chakra, swirling violently, growing larger than Naruto himself. "Giant Rasengan!" Naruto howled, driving the massive sphere directly into Ghidorah's eye. The resulting explosion lit up the storm-darkened sky like a second sun. The shockwave from Naruto's attack rippled outward, momentarily creating a circle of calm in the storm-tossed sea. Ghidorah's injured head thrashed wildly, golden blood streaming from its ruined eye, its screech of pain so piercing that it seemed to shatter the very air. Naruto fell, the fox's chakra cloak flickering as exhaustion threatened to claim him. Before he could hit the water, something large and scaly swooped beneath him. Goji, his dorsal plates glowing fiercely, caught Naruto on his back. "Nice catch, buddy." Naruto gasped, clutching weakly at Goji's scales. A flash of movement caught his eye. Sasuke, using his fire release to propel himself across the water surface, Sakura held securely against his side. Kakashi appeared moments later, riding atop a water dragon jutsu. "Naruto!" Kakashi's voice held equal parts relief and concern as they rejoined their teammate on Goji's back. "That chakra, you're using the Nine Tails' power? It's under control," Naruto assured him, though the two tails of chakra still swishing behind him suggested otherwise. "The fox and I have a temporary agreement. Temporary is right," Sasuke muttered, Sharingan active and focused on Naruto. "Your chakra network is already showing signs of strain. You can't maintain this for long." "I don't need long," Naruto replied, turning back to the battle. "Just long enough." King had seized the opportunity provided by Naruto's attack to grapple with Ghidorah, massive claws ripping at golden scales. The two remaining heads snapped at King's throat and face, while the injured third hung limply, still disoriented from Naruto's Rasengan. "Ghidorah is weakened. but still regenerating, Kakashi observed. We need to find a way to stop that regeneration if we're going to defeat it. I think I have an idea, Naruto said slowly, the fox's knowledge filtering through their temporary alliance. The Nine Tails says Ghidorah isn't from our world. It doesn't follow our rules. Meaning what, exactly? Sasuke demanded, bracing himself as Goji banked sharply to avoid a stray bolt of golden lightning. Meaning its chakra, or whatever energy it uses, is fundamentally different from ours. That's why it can regenerate so quickly. Naruto's eyes gleamed with sudden inspiration. But what if we disrupted that energy? Like how Sasuke's lightning redirected its attack? Kakashi's visible eye widened in understanding. A seal, he said. If we could apply a chakra disruption seal directly to Ghidorah's body, it might stop the regeneration long enough for King to finish it off. Sakura completed the thought. But how do we get close enough to place a seal? And what kind of seal would even work against something like that? I can get us close, Naruto insisted, the fox's chakra surging around him. And I know just the seal. Within his mindscape, Naruto stood before the Nine Tails cage. The enormous fox regarded him with narrowed eyes, tails swishing behind the bars. You understand what you're proposing, brat? The fox growled. This will not be like the puny seals your kind typically use. This will require more of my chakra than your body can safely channel. Do I have a choice? Naruto asked simply. The fox's laughter rumbled through the mental space. There's always a choice. Die here, or risk dying later when my chakra burns through your pathetic human form. Some choice, Naruto muttered. Then, more resolutely, if we don't stop Ghidorah now, everyone dies anyway. At least this way, there's a chance. Humph. Perhaps you're not as stupid as you look. The Nine Tails leaned closer to the bars, red eyes glowing. Very well. I will show you the seal. But remember, this is a temporary alliance. When this is over, if you survive, we return to our previous arrangement. Deal? Naruto agreed without hesitation. Back in the physical world, mere seconds had passed. Naruto's eyes snapped open, now blood-red with slitted pupils. I know what to do, he said, his voice a growling overlay of his own and the Nine Tails. But I'll need your help. All of you. Quickly, he outlined the plan. Kakashi listened with growing concern, but nodded grimly when Naruto finished. It's risky, the Jonin admitted. But it might be our only shot. If anyone's going to pull off something this crazy, it's Naruto. Sasuke said with reluctant respect. We're with you. Sakura assured him, though fear shone clearly in her eyes. Naruto turned to Goji, placing a clawed hand against the creature's scales. Through their bond, he conveyed the plan, feeling Goji's immediate acceptance and determination. Let's do this, Naruto growled. Goji roared in response, dorsal plates flashing brilliant blue. He launched himself toward the battling titans, weaving through lightning bolts and debris with newfound agility. King, sensing their approach, adjusted his attack strategy. He seized one of Ghidorah's necks in his massive jaws, forcing the golden dragon into a position that exposed the central point where all three necks joined the main body, their target. Now! Kakashi shouted. Sasuke's hands flew through seals. Fire style. Dragon flame jutsu. A massive stream of fire erupted from his mouth, far larger than should have been possible. Enhanced by the chakra Kakashi was feeding him through a hastily established link. The flames struck Ghidorah's central mass, temporarily overwhelming its golden lightning. In the moment of distraction, Goji dived straight for the junction of Ghidorah's three necks. Sakura channeled her precise chakra control into Naruto, stabilizing the increasingly volatile mix of his and the Nine Tails energies. The fox's chakra surged through Naruto, forming three tails now, the caustic energy burning his skin even as it empowered him. In his palm, he formed not a Rasengan but a complex matrix of chakra. The seal the Nine Tails had shown him, ancient and powerful. Savage deity! Naruto shouted through the gale. Behold, the beast of your downfall! Tailed beast suppression seal! They struck Ghidorah with devastating precision, Naruto slamming the seal directly into the base of the creature's central neck. The impact should have shattered every bone in his body. Instead, the Nine Tails chakra protected him even as it flowed into the seal, spreading like blood through veins across Ghidorah's golden body. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. Ghidorah convulsed as if electrocuted, all three heads, even the injured one, throwing back in silent screams. The golden lightning that had been its primary weapon flickered and died, scales dulling from brilliant gold to sickly yellow. "It's working!" Sakura cried. "The regeneration is stopping!" Indeed, the wounds inflicted by King were no longer closing. Golden blood flowed freely from dozens of deep gashes, spilling into the churning sea below. But Naruto had no time to celebrate. The backlash from the seal slammed into him like a physical blow, the Nine-Tails chakra turning against him as the seal drained more power than his body could safely provide. He fell from Goji's back, the red chakra cloak sputtering and failing. "Naruto!" His teammates shouted in unison. Goji screeched in alarm, diving after his falling partner. But one of Ghidorah's heads, though weakened, still managed to strike, knocking the young creature aside. As Naruto plummeted toward the ocean far below, consciousness slipping away, he saw King seize the opportunity. The ancient titan's dorsal plates blazed with blue fire, brighter than ever before. When he unleashed his atomic breath this time, it was not a beam but a sustained pulse of raw energy that engulfed Ghidorah's entire body. The golden dragon's weakened form could not withstand the assault. With a final, alien screech that seemed to echo from another world entirely, Ghidorah began to disintegrate, golden scales turning to ash, flesh vaporizing under the relentless blue fire. Naruto's last thought before darkness claimed him was a simple, satisfied, "We did it." Then he was falling into endless blue. Beep, beep, beep. The steady, irritating sound penetrated the comfortable darkness surrounding Naruto. He tried to ignore it, to sink back into the peaceful void, but it persisted with mechanical precision. Beep, beep, beep. With tremendous effort, Naruto forced his eyelids to open. White ceiling, antiseptic smell. The familiar yet always unwelcome environment of Konoha Hospital. About time you rejoined the land of the living. A dry voice commented from nearby. Naruto turned his head, a movement that required far more effort than it should have, to find Sasuke sitting in a chair beside the bed, arms crossed, looking simultaneously bored and relieved. "How long?" Naruto managed to croak, his throat feeling like he'd swallowed sand. "6 days," Sasuke replied, uncrossing his arms to pour a glass of water from a pitcher on the bedside table. He held it to Naruto's lips, allowing him small sips. "You've been in and out of consciousness. This is the first time you've been coherent enough to speak." Memory rushed back in disjointed fragments. "The battle, Ghidorah, the seal, falling. Did we win?" Naruto asked urgently. A rare smile tugged at Sasuke's lips. "Yes, idiot. We won. Thanks to your insane plan." Relief flooded Naruto's system, followed immediately by more pressing concerns. "Goji? Is he okay? See for yourself." Sasuke nodded toward the window. With Sasuke's reluctant assistance, Naruto managed to sit up enough to look outside. What he saw made his jaw drop. The hospital room was on an upper floor, providing a view of much of Konoha, and of the massive form of King, resting in what appeared to be a newly cleared area at the village's edge. The ancient titan lay curled in a surprisingly peaceful pose, seemingly asleep or resting, and nestled against his side. Looking significantly larger than when Naruto had last seen him, was Goji. "He's been there since we returned," Sasuke explained, "refusing to leave until you recovered. The Hokage had to order an evacuation of that entire district to accommodate them. They stayed," Naruto whispered, a lump forming in his throat. "Of course they stayed," came Kakashi's voice from the doorway. The Jonin entered, followed by Sakura, who carried a small bouquet of flowers. "They're waiting for you, Sensei." "Sakura." Naruto tried to sit up further, only to wince as pain lanced through his body. "Easy," Sakura admonished, setting the flowers down and immediately shifting into medic mode, checking his vitals. "Your chakra network suffered severe damage. You're lucky to be alive." "The Nine-Tails?" Naruto asked, instinctively reaching inward to sense the fox's presence. "Still here, unfortunately," came the grudging reply from within his mindscape. "Though that stun nearly destroyed us both, he's sulking but intact." Naruto reported with a weak grin. The seal you used was unlike anything I've ever seen. Kakashi said, visible eye studying Naruto with new respect. Ancient and powerful. Beyond even fourth Hokage level sealing techniques. Naruto shrugged. Fox taught it to me. Said it was from before humans even existed. Fascinating. Kakashi murmured. We may need to revisit your sealing training when you've recovered. What happened after I passed out? Naruto asked, eager to fill the gaps in his memory. I remember King attacking Ghidorah, and then nothing. King destroyed Ghidorah completely. Sasuke recounted. Not even ash remained when he was finished. After that, Goji caught you before you hit the water. We thought we'd lost you. You weren't breathing. And the Nine Tails chakra had burned through most of your clothing and skin. But then King did something strange. Sakura continued. He touched you with one claw and channeled some kind of energy into your body. Blue, like his atomic breath, but gentler somehow. Your wounds began healing instantly, even faster than your usual recovery rate. He saved your life. Kakashi concluded. After that, they simply followed us back to Konoha. The Hokage was surprised, to say the least, when we returned with two giant monsters in tow. Naruto chuckled weakly, imagining the old man's face. Bet he wasn't too happy about the housing situation. Actually, he's been remarkably accommodating, Kakashi said. Apparently, defeating a world-ending threat earns you certain privileges, even if those privileges include hosting creatures of legend within village boundaries. So they can stay? Naruto asked hopefully. For now, Kakashi hedged. There are discussions ongoing about the long-term arrangements. Translation. The village elders and council were having fits, but the Hokage was holding them at bay. I need to see them, Naruto declared, attempting once more to get out of bed. Not happening. Sakura pushed him back gently but firmly. You're not leaving this hospital until the medical team clears you. Another day at least. But don't worry, Sasuke cut in. They know you're recovering. I've been keeping them updated. Naruto stared at his teammate in surprise. You've been talking to them? Sasuke looked slightly uncomfortable. Not talking exactly, but I've been checking on them daily. Goji seems to recognize me as your teammate. He's not as annoying as you, at least. Coming from Sasuke, this was practically a declaration of affection. Naruto grinned. You made friends with my giant monster buddy? That's so sweet, Sasuke. Shut up, idiot. Sasuke's embarrassment only made Naruto's grin widen. A knock at the door interrupted their banter. The Hokage entered, pipe in hand despite the hospital's no-smoking policy. His aged face creasing into a smile at the sight of Naruto awake. Well, our hero returns to us, he said warmly. How are you feeling, Naruto? Ready to get out of here, old man? Naruto replied with his usual lack of formality. When can I see Goji and King? The Hokage chuckled. Straight to the point, as always. His expression turned more serious. There are matters we need to discuss regarding your friends, but they can wait until you're fully recovered. Something in his tone made Naruto wary. What kind of matters? The Hokage sighed, relenting. The village cannot permanently accommodate creatures of their size, Naruto, particularly as Goji continues to grow. We need to consider alternatives. You can't make them leave, Naruto protested, trying again to sit up, ignoring the pain the movement caused. They saved us. They saved the whole world. No one is suggesting exile, the Hokage assured him quickly. But practical considerations must be addressed. Food requirements alone are straining our resources. King consumed an entire month's worth of the village's fish supply in 3 days. Naruto slumped back against his pillows. The old man had a point, much as he hated to admit it. The good news, the Hokage continued, is that I've received word from an unexpected quarter. The island turtle, home of the Falls of Truth and longtime ally to Konoha, has offered sanctuary. The island turtle? Kakashi repeated, clearly surprised. That's unprecedented, indeed. Apparently, news of our battle against Ghidorah reached even those isolated shores. The island turtle expressed particular interest in meeting creatures it called the Ancient Ones returned. The Hokage puffed thoughtfully on his unlit pipe.
It seems your friends may have a history with our world that predates even our oldest records. Naruto frowned, processing this information. So they'd live on this turtle island? Would I still be able to see Goji? The Hokage's eyes twinkled. I was thinking more of an arrangement similar to our relationship with Mount Mayaboku and the Toads. An alliance with regular contact maintained through designated shinobi. You specifically, understanding dawned on Naruto's face. You mean, like a summoning contract? With Goji and King, something similar though perhaps more complex given their nature. The Hokage confirmed. It would allow them the space they need while maintaining the bond you formed. It would also, he added with a meaningful look, give Konoha powerful allies for any future threats. Naruto's mind raced with possibilities. A summoning contract with Goji and King would mean he could see them whenever he wanted, while giving them the freedom they deserved. And if the island turtle had some historical connection to them, I need to talk to them first. Naruto decided. It has to be their choice too, of course. The Hokage agreed. When you're recovered, we'll arrange it. Despite Sakura's protests, Naruto was discharged from the hospital the very next day. His healing abilities, enhanced by whatever King had done, had repaired most of the physical damage. His chakra network remained sensitive, but the medics concluded there was little more they could do. Only time would tell if there would be lasting effects from channeling so much of the Nine-Tails' power. The moment he stepped outside, Naruto felt the connection with Goji surge back to full strength. He sensed joy, relief, and impatience flowing through their bond. Easy, buddy, Naruto murmured, though he was grinning from year to year. I'm coming. He raced through the village streets, ignoring the stares and whispers that followed him. News of Team 7's battle against Ghidorah had spread throughout Konoha, growing more exaggerated with each retelling. By now, Naruto had single-handedly wrestled all three of Ghidorah's heads while riding atop Goji's back. According to the stories circulating among the academy students, when he reached the clear district where King and Goji had made their temporary home, Naruto skidded to a halt. Momentarily overwhelmed by the sight before him, King lay curled in the massive depression his body had created in the earth, ancient eyes closed in what appeared to be sleep or meditation. Beside him, Goji, now the size of a large building and still growing, paced restlessly, dorsal plates glowing with excitement. The moment Goji sensed Naruto's presence, he whirled around with surprising grace for his size. With a joyful roar that probably woke half the village, he bounded toward Naruto, moving with the exuberance of a puppy despite now being large enough to crush houses beneath his feet. Whoa, careful. Naruto laughed, though he ran to meet his friend halfway. Goji skidded to a stop just short of Naruto, lowering his massive head to eye level. Hot breath washed over Naruto as Goji sniffed him thoroughly, as if checking for injuries. Apparently satisfied with his examination, Goji made a rumbling sound deep in his throat, the closest thing to a purr his physiology allowed. Missed you too, buddy, Naruto said, reaching out to scratch the sweet spot behind Goji's dorsal plates. A deeper rumble drew his attention. King had awakened, ancient eyes regarding Naruto with what could only be described as approval. The titanic creature made no move to approach, but inclined his head slightly in acknowledgement. Thank you, Naruto called out, somehow knowing King would understand. For saving me, and for staying. King blinked slowly in response, a gesture that conveyed more than words ever could. Through his bond with Goji, Naruto sensed the creature's thoughts turning questioning. They knew about the island turtle, about the proposal. Of course they did. Goji had probably picked it up from Naruto's mind the moment he'd arrived. It's a good idea, Naruto said, addressing both creatures now. The island turtle is huge, way bigger than King even. You'd have all the ocean to swim in, room to grow. He looked directly at Goji. And I can visit whenever I want. Maybe even stay sometimes, when I'm not on missions, Goji rumbled thoughtfully, turning to exchange a look with King. Some silent communication passed between them, beyond even what Naruto could sense through his bond. After a moment, Goji turned back to Naruto and lowered his head in clear agreement. King echoed the gesture, adding a soft growl that vibrated through the ground beneath Naruto's feet. Relief and joy flooded Naruto's system. Great! I'll tell the old man you agree. We'll work out all the details for the summoning contract and everything. As if summoned by his words, the Hokage appeared at the edge of the clearing, accompanied by Kakashi and several ANBU operatives maintaining a respectful distance. I see our guests are amenable to the arrangement, the Hokage observed, approaching with remarkable calm considering he stood in the presence of two creatures that could level the village with minimal effort. Yeah, they're cool with it, Naruto confirmed. When do we leave for the island, Turtle? Preparations are already underway, the Hokage replied. A delegation from the island will arrive tomorrow to guide the journey. It is not a location one simply stumbles upon. The island turtle moves constantly through the deepest waters, and the
Summoning contract? Naruto pressed eagerly. The Hokage exchanged a glance with Kakashi. That is somewhat more complicated. Traditional summoning contracts are formed with species that have long histories of interaction with shinobi. Your friends represent something older, more primal. So what does that mean? Naruto asked, brow furrowing. It means, Kakashi stepped in, that we'll need to create something new. A bond that goes beyond standard summoning techniques. The process will involve elements of both the summoning arts and the sealing techniques you've already begun to master, the Hokage elaborated. Jiraiya is being recalled to assist. His expertise in both areas will be invaluable. Pervy Sage is coming back? Naruto perked up at the mention of his occasional mentor. Indeed. The Hokage's eyes twinkled with amusement at the nickname. He expressed particular interest when I informed him of your unconventional new partners. Goji nudged Naruto gently. Well, gently for a creature of his size, which still nearly knocked Naruto off his feet. Through their bond, Naruto sensed curiosity and something else, anticipation. Goji's excited to meet him. Naruto translated, steadying himself. I think he likes the idea of forming a new kind of contract. Excellent. The Hokage nodded in satisfaction. Then it settled. Tomorrow, you and Team 7 will accompany our guests to the island Turtle, where the new bond will be forged under Jiraiya's guidance. As the Hokage and Kakashi departed to finalize the arrangements, Naruto sat down between Goji's massive front claws, leaning back against the creature's warm scales. King had returned to his meditative state, apparently content now that the future was decided. A new kind of bond, huh? Naruto mused aloud. Sounds like we're making history, buddy. Goji rumbled in agreement, his dorsal plates glowing softly in the fading daylight. Naruto closed his eyes, savoring the moment of peace. Tomorrow would bring new adventures, new challenges. But for now, he was exactly where he belonged, beside the friend who had literally dropped into his life and changed everything. Dawn had barely broken when Naruto arrived at Konoha's eastern gate, packed and ready for the journey to the island Turtle. To his surprise, he found not just Team 7 waiting for him, but what appeared to be half the village. What's going on? He asked Sakura, who stood with Sasuke and Kakashi amidst the crowd. Word got out about the departure. She explained. Everyone wants to see King and Goji off. Indeed, villagers lined the road leading from the temporary clearing where the massive creatures had been staying, all the way to the shore several miles distant. Children sat on parents' shoulders. Vendors had set up impromptu stalls selling commemorative items, including, Naruto noted with amusement, crude wooden figurines of Goji, and even some of the more stoic jonin had turned out for the occasion. Looks like you've started a fan club, Sasuke remarked dryly. Before Naruto could respond, a murmur rippled through the crowd. He turned to see King rising to his full, imposing height, Goji beside him. The morning sunlight glinted off their scales, illuminating their dorsal plates from behind and creating an almost ethereal effect. Show-offs, Naruto muttered fondly. With deliberate, careful steps that nonetheless shook the ground, the two titans began their procession toward the shoreline. The crowd parted before them, awe and apprehension mingling on the faces of the villagers. Some bowed respectfully, others simply stared in wonder. Naruto jogged ahead to walk beside Goji, unwilling to miss a moment of this historic departure. As they passed through the village proper, he spotted familiar faces in the crowd. Irika-sensei, beaming with pride, Konohamaru and his friends, practically vibrating with excitement. Tuchi and Ayam from Ichiraku, the latter holding up a banner reading, "Thank you for saving the world! You're celebrities now," Naruto told Goji with a grin. Almost as popular as I'm gonna be when I become Hokage. Goji rumbled what sounded suspiciously like laughter. By the time they reached the shore, the sun had fully risen, casting golden light across the calm sea. Standing at the water's edge was a delegation unlike any Naruto had ever seen. 4 individuals wearing elaborate robes decorated with turtle shell patterns, their features serene and ancient. The island turtles' emissaries. Kakashi explained quietly as Team 7 approached the strange delegation. They rarely interact with the outside world. The eldest of the emissaries stepped forward, bowing deeply first to the Hokage, who had arrived separately, then to King and Goji. We welcome the return of the ancient protectors. The emissary intoned, voice carrying despite its softness. The island turtle remembers when your kind swam these waters before humanity learned to wield chakra. King inclined his massive head in acknowledgement, a gesture that seemed to please the emissaries greatly. The preparations are complete. The emissary continued. The summoning bond awaits only its final components. He turned to Naruto, studying him with eyes that seemed to hold centuries of wisdom. You are the bridge builder. The one who found the egg and forged the first connection in millennia between our worlds. Yeah, I guess. Naruto replied, scratching the back of his head awkwardly. I just did what anyone would do. The emissary's lips quirked in what might have been a smile. No, young one. What you did was exceptional. And now you will complete what fate has set in motion. He gestured toward the ocean, where the water had begun to churn unnaturally. Something massive was approaching, a shadow beneath the waves that dwarfed even King's imposing silhouette. Behold, the emissary announced as the shadow neared the surface. The island turtle rises to greet its ancient friends. The sea exploded upward as a titanic foam breached the surface. Naruto had heard descriptions of the island turtle before, but nothing could have prepared him for the reality. A head the size of Konoha's Hokage Mountain emerged first, reptilian eyes the size of houses blinking in the sunlight. Then came the shell, so vast it seemed impossible that it could belong to a living creature. Forests grew upon its back, mountains rose from its shell, and waterfalls cascaded from crevices in its ancient armor. Even kings seemed small by comparison, though the ancient titan showed no sign of intimidation, greeting the island turtle with a rumbling call that the massive Kalonian answered in kind. Whoa! Naruto breathed, for once at a loss for words. The island turtle has carried the legacy of the ancient protectors since they departed our world. The emissary explained. In its memory lived the techniques needed to forge the new bond. A familiar voice called from behind them. And that's where I come in. Naruto whirled to find Jiraiya approaching, his usual flamboyant attire somehow fitting for the momentous occasion. Pervy sage! Naruto exclaimed, genuine joy in his voice. Is that any way to greet the man who's about to help you make history, brat? Jiraiya retorted, though his smile belied his gruff tone. He turned to the emissaries and bowed with uncharacteristic respect. The sealing materials are prepared as requested. Excellent. The eldest emissary replied. Then we shall proceed immediately. Time grows short. The ancient protectors are needed elsewhere. Elsewhere? Naruto questioned, looking between Goji and King in confusion. But I thought they were staying on the island turtle? Their home would be with us, yes, the emissary clarified. But their purpose extends beyond our shores. There are other threats in this world, young bridge builder. Other battles that require their strength. Understanding dawned on Naruto. This wasn't just about giving Goji and King a new home. It was about establishing them as guardians, protectors who could be called upon when needed, like a summoning contract. He murmured. But bigger, precisely. Jiraiya confirmed, clapping a hand on Naruto's shoulder. That's why this is going to be more complex than your average summoning technique. We're not just creating a method to call them. We're establishing an entire alliance between species. The eldest emissary gestured toward the island turtle, where a portion of the shell near the shoreline had flattened, creating a natural platform. We must conduct the ceremony there, upon the island turtle itself. Only there can the ancient energies be properly channeled, with remarkable grace for creatures of their size. King and Goji entered the water, swimming toward the offered platform. Team 7, along with Jiraiya and the emissaries, followed in boats provided by the Konoha naval unit. As they approached the island turtle, Naruto felt a strange sensation, a humming energy that seemed to resonate with his chakra, similar to what he felt when connecting with Goji, but deeper, more primal. From the expressions on his teammates' faces, they felt it too. "What is that?" Sakura asked, voice hushed with awe. "Natural energy," Jiraiya explained. "The island turtle is one of the world's greatest reservoirs of natural chakra, similar to Mount Myaboku, but far more ancient." They reached the platform, which Naruto now saw was inscribed with complex patterns that glowed faintly with blue energy reminiscent of Goji and King's dorsal plates. The emissaries took positions at cardinal points around the perimeter, while King and Goji settled in the center. "Come, bridge builder." The eldest emissary beckoned Naruto forward. "The bond begins with you." Heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and nervousness, Naruto stepped onto the platform. The inscriptions beneath his feet pulsed brighter in response to his presence. Jiraiya approached, carrying a large scroll. "This is a modified summoning contract," he explained, unrolling it before Naruto. "But instead of blood alone, it requires something more, a fusion of your chakra with the natural energy of this place, and with theirs," the emissary added, gesturing to King and Goji. "A threefold bond, never before attempted." "What do I do?" Naruto asked, suddenly feeling the weight of responsibility. "First, the traditional part," Jiraiya instructed. "Blood on the contract." Naruto bit his thumb, drawing blood, and signed his name on the scroll as he had once done with the Toad contract. The scroll absorbed the blood with unusual eagerness, the red liquid spreading along invisible channels within the parchment. "Now for the complicated part," Jiraiya continued. "Channel your chakra into the contract, but carefully. Too much, and the balance will be disrupted." Naruto placed his hands on the scroll, focusing as he had been taught. Blue chakra flowed from his palms, illuminating the scroll from within. "Good," Jiraiya murmured. "Now, reach for your connection with Goji. Bring it into the chakra flow." Closing his eyes, Naruto sought the familiar bond that had grown between him and Goji over the past weeks. It came readily, stronger than ever in this place of power. He guided it into the scroll, feeling rather than seeing the energies merge and dance. A rumble from King drew his attention. The ancient titan had lowered his massive head, one enormous eye fixed on Naruto with unmistakable intent. "He wishes to join the bond directly," the emissary translated. "This is unexpected. Is that possible?" Jiraiya asked, visibly concerned. The contract was designed for Naruto and Goji, with King as an extension of that relationship. "The ancient protectors make their own rules," the emissary replied simply. "If he wishes it, it can be done." Through his connection with Goji, Naruto felt King's intent more clearly now, not to replace their bond, but to enhance it, to create something stronger, more resilient. "It's okay," Naruto assured Jiraiya. "I can handle it." Without waiting for further discussion, he reached out mentally toward King, extending the bond that until now had existed only between himself and Goji. The ancient titan's consciousness brushed against his, vast, unknowable, yet somehow familiar. Images flooded Naruto's mind. Prehistoric oceans teeming with creatures like King and Goji. Battles against threats from beyond the stars. Long periods of dormancy beneath the sea, awakening to new threats in a changed world. Thousands, perhaps millions of years of existence compressed into moments of shared consciousness. The scroll in Naruto's hands began to glow with three distinct energies. His own blue chakra, the green natural energy of the island turtle, and a new color, a deep royal blue that could only belong to King and Goji. "It's working," Jiraiya breathed, stepping back in amazement. "The threefold bond is forming." The emissaries began to chant in an ancient language, their voices blending with the natural sounds of the island turtle, the rushing of waterfalls, the creaking of ancient trees, the deep breathing of the massive creature itself. Naruto felt something shifting within him, a reconfiguration of his chakra network to accommodate the new bond. It wasn't painful, exactly, but it was intense, as if parts of himself that had always been separate were now connected in new ways. The scroll flared with blinding light, then dissolved into particles of pure chakra that swirled around Naruto, Goji, and King before settling into their bodies. Where the scroll had been, three symbols now glowed on the platform. A spiral reminiscent of Naruto's clan symbol, a simplified representation of Goji's distinctive dorsal plates, and a crowned, ancient glyph that somehow embodied King's regal nature. "It is done," the eldest emissary announced. "The bond of three is established." Naruto staggered slightly, feeling simultaneously drained and energized. Goji moved to his side immediately, supporting him with a gentle press of his massive head. "How do you feel, kid?" Jiraiya asked, studying him with expert eyes. "Different," Naruto admitted. "But good different. Like I've got this whole other awareness now." He reached up to touch his stomach, where the seal containing the 9 tails resided. "It's not like the fox. It's not inside me. It's more like we're all connected to something bigger." The emissary nodded in approval. "The bond of three draws upon the ancient connection between the protectors and this world. You have become part of a legacy that predates shinobi themselves. So how does the summoning work?" Sasuke asked practically, having observed the entire ceremony in fascinated silence. "The traditional hand signs, modified with the symbols you saw on the platform," Jiraiya explained. "But there's a catch. This isn't a one-way summoning. The bond works in both directions." "Meaning?" Kakashi prompted. "Meaning," the emissary interjected, "that just as Naruto may call upon the protectors in times of need, they may also call upon him when their battles require human intervention." "They can summon me?" Naruto asked, oddly delighted by the concept. "In a manner of speaking," the emissary confirmed. "The bond will alert you when your presence is needed, allowing you to channel yourself to their location through the same pathways they would use to answer your summons." Sakura frowned in concern. "That sounds potentially dangerous. What if they're in the middle of the ocean? Or fighting something terrible?" "The bond provides protection," the emissary assured her. "Just as summoned creatures arrive unharmed, so too would Naruto." "This is so cool!" Naruto exclaimed, turning to Goji with an excited grin. "We can fight together anywhere, no matter how far apart we are." Goji rumbled in agreement, dorsal plates glowing with reflected enthusiasm. King, who had remained largely stoic throughout the ceremony, now rose to his full height, gazing out across the open ocean. Through the newly established bond, Naruto sensed the ancient titan's thoughts, not in words, but in intentions and impressions. "King needs to go," he translated for the others. "There's something out there." "Another threat. Already?" Kakashi questioned. The emissary nodded gravely. "The ancient protectors sense disruptions in the natural order long before they become apparent to us. If he feels called to action, then something indeed stirs." "Goji?" Naruto looked to his friend questioningly. The younger creature hesitated, torn between following his parent and staying with Naruto. King turned, regarding his offspring with what could only be described as paternal understanding. Another rumble passed between them. "King says Goji can stay for now," Naruto interpreted. "He's still growing, still learning. The island turtle will be his home until he's ready." Relief washed through Naruto. He wasn't ready to say goodbye to Goji, not when their bond had just been formalized. King moved to the edge of the platform, massive body poised to return to the sea. Before departing, he turned one last time, ancient eyes finding Naruto's. The connection between them flared briefly, and Naruto received a final impression. Not a goodbye, but a promise. "Until we meet again." With that, King slipped into the water with surprising grace for a creature of his size. The sea churned as he submerged, dorsal plates the last to disappear beneath the waves, their blue glow visible for long seconds before they too vanished into the depths. "He'll be back," Naruto said confidently. "When we need him, and when he needs you," the emissary reminded him. The bond of three works in all directions. As the sun began to set on the island turtle's massive shell, casting long shadows across its forested back, Naruto sat beside Goji, watching the ocean where King had disappeared. Team 7 had set up camp nearby, preparing for their journey back to Konoha the following day. "So," Sakura said, settling beside Naruto with a cup of tea. "How does it feel to be bonded to giant monsters from the dawn of time?" Naruto grinned. "Pretty awesome, actually." He scratched Goji behind his dorsal plates, earning a pleased rumble. "But you know what the best part is? For the first time, I feel like I'm part of something ancient and important." Something bigger than just being a shinobi or even becoming Hokage. You raised a baby Godzilla from an egg. Sasuke commented, joining them with his usual affected nonchalance. I'd say that qualifies as important. Godzilla, huh? Naruto considered the name. Goji. Zilla. I like it, Goji growled in apparent approval. Dorsal plates flashing blue in the gathering darkness. As stars appeared overhead, Naruto leaned back against his friend's warm scales, content in the knowledge that while their paths might sometimes diverge, the bond of three would always bring them back together. The egg he'd pulled from the stormy sea had changed his life in ways he could never have imagined. And somewhere out in the vast ocean, King, or Godzilla, as Sasuke had called him, was continuing his ancient duty, protecting a world that had forgotten his kind existed, until they were needed again. The sixth Hokage stood atop the monument bearing the carved faces of his predecessors, gazing out over the rebuilt Konoha. 5 years had passed since the battle against Ghidorah. 5 years of relative peace, interrupted only by the usual skirmishes between shinobi villages and the occasional rogue ninja causing trouble. Kakashi sighed, adjusting the Hokage hat that he still wasn't entirely comfortable wearing. The reconstruction following Pain's attack had been completed months ago, but he still found himself surveying the village daily, as if expecting to find new damage. Admiring your handiwork, Lord Sixth, a familiar voice called from behind him. Kakashi turned to find Naruto approaching, no longer the impulsive child who had once painted graffiti on this very monument, but a young man respected throughout the shinobi world. His blonde hair was longer now, his frame taller and more muscular, but his eyes still held that same irrepressible spirit. Just thinking, Kakashi replied. And I've asked you not to call me that, Naruto grinned. Just practicing for when it's my turn with the hat. At the rate you're going, that might be sooner than I'd like, Kakashi admitted. The young man's growth over the past years had been remarkable, not just in strength and skill, but in wisdom and leadership as well. Much of that growth, Kakashi reflected, could be traced back to the responsibility thrust upon Naruto when he pulled a certain egg from the sea during a storm. Any word from our large friends? Kakashi asked casually. Naruto's expression turned more serious. He absently touched the mark on his right palm, 3 intertwined symbols that had appeared after the bonding ceremony on the island turtle years ago. Goji's doing well. Growing faster than ever. The island turtle has been good for him. A fond smile played across Naruto's features. He's almost as big as King now. And the elder one? Any sightings? Naruto shook his head. Not since that incident in the Land of Water last year. Whatever's calling to him keeps him in the deepest parts of the ocean. The incident Naruto referred to had been one of the few times King had emerged since their battle with Ghidorah. A massive sea serpent, not as dangerous as Ghidorah, but threatening enough to coastal villages, had been dealt with swiftly and decisively before disappearing back into the depths. The bond still strong? Kakashi inquired, noting the way Naruto occasionally glanced at his marked palm. Stronger than ever. Naruto's gaze turned distant, as if listening to something only he could hear. Sometimes I get impressions, glimpses of what they're seeing. Mostly ocean depths, island shorelines. But lately? Kakashi prompted when Naruto fell silent. Lately there's been something else. A feeling of anticipation. Like they're waiting for something. Naruto's brow furrowed in concentration. I think something's coming, Kakashi-sensei. Something big. Before Kakashi could respond, the ground beneath their feet trembled slightly. Too subtle to be an earthquake, but noticeable to trained shinobi. Then again, stronger. That's not normal. Kakashi stated unnecessarily, scanning the horizon. Naruto's eyes widened. The mark on his palm had begun to glow with a familiar blue light. It's them, he whispered. They're calling. The tremors intensified, drawing alarmed shouts from villagers below. But these weren't random seismic events. There was a pattern, a rhythm, footsteps. Massive ones, approaching from the east, the Ban. Naruto's voice was tight with sudden urgency. It's not just Goji and King anymore. There are others. More of them, awakening all over the world. Others? Kakashi's visible eye narrowed. More creatures like King and Goji? Different, but similar. Ancient. Powerful. Naruto's expression was a mixture of excitement and concern. And they're all heading in the same direction. Converging. Why? Kakashi demanded. What could make them all active at once? The mark on Naruto's palm flared brighter, and he gasped as a vision slammed into his consciousness. A massive shape emerging from beneath the earth. Wings like continents unfurling, multiple heads seeking the sky. Ghidorah, he breathed. It's back. Or something like it. Bigger. Older. I thought King destroyed it completely. Kakashi said sharply. This is different. Related but different. Naruto struggled to interpret the impressions flooding through the bond. Like Ghidorah was just a scout or something. Another tremor shook the monument, stronger than before. In the distance, birds took flight from the forest en masse, sensing the approach of something unnatural. They need me, Naruto said with sudden certainty. All of them, Goji, King, the others. This isn't a battle they can fight alone. Kakashi recognized the resolve in his former student's eyes. I'll assemble a response team. Sasuke is back in the village, and Sakura. No. Naruto cut him off. This isn't a shinobi battle, Kakashi-sensei. Not yet anyway. He held up his glowing palm. This is why the bond of three was created. For this moment, before Kakashi could argue, the marking on Naruto's palm expanded, blue light encompassing his entire body. The nine tails chakra spontaneously activated, forming a golden cloak around him, not in battle readiness, but as if responding to the call resonating through the bond. I'll be back, Naruto promised, the light growing blindingly bright around him. With friends, in a flash of blue-gold energy, Naruto vanished, summoned through the bond to wherever Goji and King awaited. Kakashi stood alone atop the monument, staring at the spot where his student had been. After a moment, he adjusted his Hokage robes and turned toward the village below. ANBU! He called sharply, and masked figures appeared instantly at his side. Full alert! Notify all Jonin. Something is coming, and we need to be ready when it arrives. As if in confirmation of his orders, a distant roar echoed across the land, ancient, powerful, and undeniably familiar. King had returned to the shores of the land of fire. And this time, he wasn't alone. The world was about to be reminded that humans weren't the only ones who called it home. That long before shinobi walked these lands, other guardians had protected it from threats beyond imagination. And at the center of it all was a boy who had once found an egg in a storm. A boy who had raised Godzilla from an egg, and in doing so, changed the course of history forever. The end.